Well, DJ Lundy's not going to be on the field for the rest of this season. And based on his tenure and how long he's been with the team and his NFL prospects, are we expecting that's it for his college career?
They're saying he's could potentially petition to get a 6 year of eligibility. I know people think it's longer than that, but he actually came the year after the COVID year. But I'm what I'm thinking, and this is our fan base is just when we're tired of somebody, when you're the worst person, you may not even be a good person at that point. Florida, it's going to be Brock or Luke moving forward. You got Tramel Jones coming in as a very good freshman, but he's got an ankle injury, correct? So you're going to have to hit the portal in some capacity. Oh, my bad. And I apologize. You have Trevor Jackson as well developing. You're going to have to bring somebody in to give some semblance of, in case somebody goes down, you have a function. Your offense can function a little bit. Nobody's transferring into Florida State unless they're going to start. If there's an available guy that you really feel is exponentially better than Brock or Luke, you go find him. But it's going to be hard to get somebody to want to come here. I'll say this: why not keep him around as a backup? He's not a bad person. He's not going to go to the NFL. He's not going to the NFL. I can tell you that wholeheartedly. Regardless of what happens, his career is done. Let that man go get his master's and basically start being a clipboard guy. It's cheaper than on scholarship. It's cheaper than hiring another on-field assistant. So those are just some things that that I think about with DJU. But as far as the youth movement, you might as well. You're getting ready with Brock and I hope to see Luke in some capacity in some of these games. But Brock did okay. I went back and I watched the film, and there's still some things that I see why he didn't get on the field. And I know a lot of people don't want to embrace that or believe it, but when we take our emotions out and you clearly just go back and rewatch, there's some things that are still not there, but it's better. I will say it was better than what we had been seeing up to that point.
Yeah, I get it. I agree totally with what James said. I think it's just everybody, there's always going to be the complainers and people that are ridiculous. Like he was talking about, a guy has a bad game and now he's a terrible person. But I think like James and Chris, me, you, the conversation we're having when you get to like the fourth and fifth game, it's like, all right, like at what point in time, you don't want to, I talked about it before, you don't want to send a guy in and blow him up, get him in a situation where he's not ready, because that could ruin his rest of his career. But yeah, Mike Norvell, I think really, really, you could see him wearing the pressure from the press and things not going right on the field and seeing things. It's just like, what can I even do about that? Like, the guy knows what to do. It's just, he's doing damning things when he goes out there. I think he really wanted to wait till Brock is ready and get all those things. It's just tough at Florida State because, things are going to get real nasty when you're losing all these games. As far as Lundy, I think he came in the 2020. It was the first class that Norville was here. So that doesn't count as a redshirt year. That's a free year in 2020, but he played in 21, played in 22, played in 23, and now has played in 24. So he should be wide open for a medical redshirt there. But he played 5-6 games. So that's where it's going to come in.
I was thinking DJU, my fault, not DJ Lundy.
Yeah, DJ Lundy's
not. Yeah, DJ Lundy's not. Yeah, that's unfortunate with DJ Lundy. I like DJ, but he hasn't been playing this good this year.
George, what's your take? Yeah, we can transition right into the quarterback situation James took us on here with. So I'm looking at Brock Glenn, and I got to say, this is probably the least I've watched of a Florida State Clemson game in, I don't know when to tell you. I don't know when the last time I didn't check in much on a Florida State Clemson game, but I did not see maybe more than 5 plays of this game. 23 of 41, 228, a couple touchdowns and a pick. What would you, with no support from a running game here, 22 yards rushing. Obviously, a lot of that was sack yardage, but still nothing there. George, what was your take on Brock?
Yeah, one sack. We gave up 1 sack.
Yeah, there was a negative 17 by the team. What was that? Somebody kick a fumble back or something
That
crazy
could,
happened?
Bad snap.
Bad snap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For like 20 yards or something. But yeah, I'll just start with the positives. Ton of positives. And this is my argument after a month of getting Brock in there, is that the failures of DJU, whether it was a leg injury in the offseason or whatever the case may be that made his play not be quite what we hoped it would be, is there were so many times where he just could not elude the rush, could not get away, couldn't make a play, and just plays were over. That game manager aspect just wasn't quite there for whatever reason. On top of that, the wide receivers and tight ends, like that's all a big part of it. Like it's all been bad on the offense. But the biggest difference between DJU and Brock that we saw out there was his ability to navigate the pocket, step up, step to the side, take off with his legs, extend plays, and the willingness to pull the trigger. Of course, he had the one interception, but if you believe Hakeem Williams and Mike Norvell, that was Hakeem's fault. He broke off the route wrong. I had tweeted at that point just pretty much what I'm saying. Like Brock looks good out there. He looks comfortable. Like he's fired up. The whole team's with him. He's making throws, putting things on the money. And then he threw the pick. And Twitter, oh my gosh, I've never been roasted so hard in my life. What game are you watching? I'm like, man, whatever. I'm just not even going to respond. I'm just going to stop it and watch the game. But he posted the highest QBR of the year, highest PFF score. All those things are all great. I think the biggest part is just the fact of the buy-in from the teammates that know he's going to be there next year. And you could see the difference even in the post-game press conference with the guys talking about it and stuff. So, yeah, it gives you hope that Brock can continue to climb. And if Brock continues to get better and better, we figure out what wide receiver is going to touch the ball. The tight ends come along to where they can be on the field for the majority of the game, the younger tight ends. All of a sudden, you look at Tony Tokars and, okay, Brock Glenn, his first quarterback's doing damn good. You've got Luke coming up, who they're really happy about. Mike Norvell's talked about putting him in the game. He just hasn't made any promises. He doesn't want to say, okay, you're going to get a drive in the third series or anything like that. But yeah, all of a sudden you're in pretty good shape, especially if our guy from Mandarin, Mel Jones, can come in, and you got Smeagol in 26. So yeah, that's the positives I took away from it.
It was incredibly, again, when you go, a lot of people only watch, and Mark, one thing I want to say is I appreciate your honesty with that. You didn't watch more than 5 minutes. Most people, I can promise you, have not gone back and watched the game. And going back and watching it, one thing cool that ACC Network does, I found out on Tuesdays, is they put on YouTube every game in its entirety. I would have done that, but that would have been a 3-hour show, and I didn't have the energy to do that. But they have the condensed versions, and unfortunately, with the condensed versions, there are plays like the snap was gone, but you get a good amount of them. And what I saw was a completely different game plan call. They did less of those rollout passes that DJ, for whatever reason, they kept letting DJ do, which sped up DJ's clock, but he also is clearly too slow to do that. But what happened was they found 5 linemen that can protect the quarterback. Outside of one play, and that sack was Brock's fault. I documented on my tape Tuesday. He had 4 and 5 seconds. To put it in perspective, I covered the NFL. The NFL now puts the passing time clock. So the average is about 2.7 to 2.9 seconds in the NFL. So when you're getting 4 and 5 seconds, that is an eternity in the game. Now, conversely, my guy over at Clemson got the exact same thing. The running game came down to one person. Otto had a rough go with the running game, and he's a youngin. But what I will attribute the pass, like the first big play that he completed, was to Landon Thomas, a play in which he had an eternity. We haven't had that much time. Now, that could also be attributed to the fact that Clemson did not blitz a lot. But he had an eternity in being able to throw the ball. And guess what the tight end did? He caught it. The key to the difference is he caught it. If we go back to Georgia Tech, we go back to Boston College, we go back to Memphis, and you want to know when the SMU game broke apart? I hate blaming people. And because these are like nephews to me. I don't want to but we can literally attribute, as much as everybody hates DJU, we can clearly attribute Kyle Murlock to a lot of the problems that FSU has had. And just, or as we call them, more drops. And it's the moving and the functioning is exciting. If he goes better next week with the bye week, I want to get more on this thing, but I want to go back to this interception in which George brought up. And I just kind of drew up a little bit of what it would look like with my stick figures and my X's and O's. You have one wide receiver that they did like almost a post. Actually, excuse me, it wasn't a post wheel concept. Keem was literally here. We call it Georgia at Mandarin, but and you got Keem here. You had, I believe, a tight end, but you had a receiver here. What was noticeable is you have a wide receiver behind coverage, and you have another wide receiver behind coverage. And who did he throw it to? He'll be on somebody's NFL tape because that guy who he threw it to, I can't think of his name, but he's at Clemson, is an NFL, AJ Terrell, NFL corner. He threw it directly to him. You can miss me with the miscommunication part. It's okay that we like the guy, but F-ups happen, and you have to be honest with it. And what I think's not happening in that film room is we're not talking to them like they used to talk to us. And that's what happened. It's on video. Team is behind him. This wide receiver is behind him. The only person who could make that play was AJ Terrell, and it was thrown directly to AJ Terrell. We like him. Anything is better than DJ. I'm with you. But that's what happened when it came to that situation. And
what
that's not good.
Was he was supposed to curl on that and not keep going down the seam. But whether that's true or not, I'm with you. I'm with you.
That could happen. But
Still
AJ was right here. If he curls, AJ is still right there. That's still not the right person to throw to. I mean, the most he can do is try to protect him and throw outside, but you'll have a guy who has a beeline on him. But that's okay. The other thing, too, with the problem playing with the youngins is the touchdown that we scored with Amari Williams. Again, I thought it was witchcraft that tight ends were catching. But if you look at that one, look where LaWayne McCoy is. LaWayne McCoy literally almost hit the boy. He would have had a pass breakup. We used to say you can't have two guys in the same pair of draws. It's a situation where the guys are excited to play. I'm excited for them to play, but we got to really go in and just not eat our own. We can diagnose what's actually happening. And I can see why I used to be why does people like Mike looks lost on the field? He looks lost because it should work. It's there. It's like when it's the thing that we used to say is when you can see the play is there to be made, it's not the scheme. It's the guys. Now, to that defense, who recruits them and who puts them in those positions. So the blame always comes on the coaches, but it's like, damn, it's frustrating when you know it should work and you can see it on film. Same thing with defense. The second touchdown, was it the second touchdown or was it the first touchdown? I'm trying to remember. Anyways, one of the touchdowns that Clemson scored on, the wide receiver makes a great grab. Cade Klubnik throws that thing up. There are two defenders. You have Fentrell Cypress and you have Conrad Hussey. You have two guys. Mark, we paused it on the video. We paused it on the video breakdown. The wide receiver's like he knows he's either going to get a targeting penalty drawn on him but he's getting put to sleep. Hussey closed his eyes as well. He did not lock in on the target. He hits Cypress, and it's neither one of them can get the pass breakup. Should have been an interception. Two guys fall down, walk into the end zone. Fire Coach Fuller for putting two guys in position to have an interception or a knockout hit. Now, the cool thing in all of this is that maybe as we get these guys reps, they will get great learning opportunities. But as I tell people, experience doesn't mean development. All experience, you can experience improper reps and going out there and fighting for your life. And then you get bad habits. That's kind of where the thing comes in. But at the end of the day, the buck stops and starts with Coach Norvell. We missed on the portal, tremendously bad. And this kind of stuff, no matter how you can explain it away, these are the things that get coaches fired. And that's the bad part. Is like we're just saying blow it up, and then what happens is these wounds that haven't healed from firing a coach in a manner in which you probably should have never fired a coach. But as I keep trying to tell people, I can agree that Willie Taggart should not have been fired in 18 months. That was 5 years ago. Mike Norvell did not fire Willie Taggart. Matter of fact, Mike Alford didn't fire Willie Taggart. The new president didn't. Those guys are gone. And we kind of got to move forward with that. And I'm promise you this, man. Like people are talking about a prime that shouldn't have beat Colorado State, a prime that Dave Aranda found a new creative way to lose in Baylor. Like just let's ride it out, man. And like there's ways that we can make these changes, but I'll say this: there, like to George's point, there are positives because when you're watching film and there's literally nothing you could have done, that's when you get terrified. But when you're watching film, you're like, man, come on, bro. You hold on to this block and we got a big run, man. Or, dude, you don't get your shoulders turned and Matt Maffa doesn't have a hole the size of US 1 to run through. Like, it's just things like that. Those are the frustrating things when watching it. But like I understand why these guys are getting gray. But it was all in all, Clemson, we held Clemson kicked 7 field goals. Probably could have done a lot more if they wanted to. Probably kept the game plan a little bit more vanilla, if I'm being honest. But CJ Wilson, one of their coaches at Clemson played football at Gobby High School in Tallahassee. And for FSU fans, I just want y'all to realize these guys don't the opposing coaches don't know what the hell is going on. They're like, and I talked one of my teammates that I play with, coaches at one of our rivals that's coming in a game that's coming up. He called me he was more angry than I am. Because he's like, it doesn't make sense. He's like, the talent is there, James. And I'll tell you how I know the talent is there, because we recruited some of these people. We wanted some of these guys that y'all have. I just don't understand it. So when people are saying stuff like that and we're not having those feel sorry for it moments, like they're seriously saying they're nowhere near as bad as what's on film, then that makes me, then I don't know how to explain. And that's the frustrating part for me, is I want to be able to go and just say, this guy sucks, get him out, replace him with somebody else. Anybody is better. But the problem is it's not holding to be true, because it's still not exponentially better. We still have yet to score over 24 points in a game, which is anemic in college football. Like any competent offense should at least be able to score 24 points once. And I don't think we've done. I think the most points we scored was against Georgia Tech, if I'm correct on that.
21.
Yep.
Yeah.
Boston College. We were 14. SMU was 4. I believe every game has been 14, basically. Outside of Boston College, and outside of Georgia Tech, and that's why I can't get overly excited.
Yeah, I'm not overly excited. Just the excitement is you can start to see the parallels from 2021, and you find your new young quarterback, a lot of young pieces, and you can start to build towards building something, which that's not the standard at Florida State. But, people on the fire Norvell hot seat, I have 100% faith in him that he could do the same thing he did in 22 and 23, building kind of from what we have. But circling back to the talk about Brock, I got a few things that I want to hear James's response to, because you talked about finding something on the offensive line. And I know that's true. And the offensive line at times gave DJU time. And that was kind of my thing on him. He's had 3.5, 4 seconds on a lot of these plays that he threw picks or just completely missed guys on. For me, like, how much is the offensive line blocking better as to what I said about Brock actually stepping up, stepping to the side, really navigating that? Because I didn't play football, but you can see where if DJU just keeps dropping back, that left tackle's screwed, because how's he going to block that guy? But if you step up right and you see your guy starting to get beat and you step up into that hole, all of a sudden that tackle isn't going to get a hold, because he's got the right angle and things of that nature. It seemed to me, as somebody who didn't play, a lot of that going on. And also, you mentioned the tight ends and things. There's just, I don't know if it's because he's been playing with them and things of that nature. There's a bit of comfort there, but yeah, you can't be like, that's the two tight ends. Like, you can't be more hyped about what you have there with them. But the offensive line is tough. Like, it was supposed to be better this year. And with everything kind of crashing in on it, and the second part of it is Toafili. The best drive they had, they handed it to Toafili early and often, and that was that touchdown that he had all day long to throw it to Landon Thomas, because they ran it on first and second down on 2 of those things. And I didn't see him run it with Toafili on first down the rest of the game. He had 10 carries, didn't do much, but I've been screaming about this, as a fan since the offseason. He should have been running back 1. If you got an offensive line that has issues, whatever the case may be, that's what made Jordan Travis so good, was his ability to make a run even when the blocking isn't necessarily there. And for whatever reason, like, he got 50 snaps, but they keep wanting to throw all these screens. Are those screens that important to make the offense work? Because to me, it would be more important to run on first down and make Clemson respect that. And we saw it on sometimes, but then, it just went away. But we weren't getting any yards. I get it. This particular game, it's hard to look at. But when you look at a 4.8 yard average on the year, and the closest person to him is like 2.8, or I think somebody has 3 per carry, but they've only got 4 carries on the year. It's just like, are they scared he's going to get hurt? What's the deal there? I'm tired of talking about this, but it's like, to me, it's just, I'm losing my mind when I'm watching these games.
One of the screens, actually a couple of them, and this is why I wouldn't run them anymore. Our wide receivers just don't block. It's bad. And I want to give them props, because Ja'Kai Douglas has gotten a lot better since I really creamed him on a reel. I mean, I just act like against when we played Memphis. Was it Memphis where he missed it? But anyway, he just completely didn't block for Jaylen Brown. And had he just done half a piece of the job, it would have worked. But what happens when you get those, we call them screen, but it's a now ball. But you have numbers. So, like, if you've got 3x3, like one of them, they had 3x3. Jalen got his block, and I don't know who the other one wide receiver was. Keem got his block. Keem was the receiver. Excuse me. I know it was. Malik Benson went for the safety. Keem went here, and they should have blocked on both of those guys, because the corner was so far back that he respected it. And you have numbers. So it's better than a run. It's basically a long run play. You've got 2. You've got 3 people where 2 guys are at. If you guys want to know, you want to know football 101 summed up. It's called, I won't cuss on your channel, Mark. It's called MF for ball. You want to run where you have numbers. There's less MFers there based upon how you align up, whether you pull somebody, because so 11 people are on the football field, right? If you split it down the middle, it is designed for you to have an advantage on one side, because that extra defender, if he goes left, you have even numbers on this side. That's basically how you want to play it. Same thing goes with pass game. If I've got 3-2, that's an advantage. I want to take advantage of that. If I've got 2-4, I don't want to throw it at it. I don't want to do that anymore, unless I'm running a screen and guys are coming in like an alley screen or a jailbreak screen. But back to your original point, yes, that's what quarterbacks want to do. So the tackles, these guys are beasts. These ends are beasts. You don't want them to come inside, because that's harder to block. You actually want them to go outside. So you're welcome them. But when they go outside, they're taught to come back to the point. So the only way, if you stay here, you're going to get sacked. Once you get to the back of your drop, you've got to climb. And this is what Brock hasn't done well yet, but neither did DJ. Once you get to the top of your climb, you either got to throw it or run it in today's game. And he didn't. So they got to get that fixed. They got 2 weeks to get that fixed. Well, a couple more days. Mike's birthday is on Friday, so shout out to Mike.
Did they not even want to show? Did they not want to show him pulling it or something, or running it too much in this game, almost like saving it for Duke? Like, because you're right. That's the one thing you did not do.
I think it's a lot call. I think it's just it's a run all the way. They thought they had something, and you could. They did it with Jay Trav as well. The difference is people automatically respected Jay Trav's legs because of what they saw with 4 years of film previous to that. So you had to do that. But